Can you love two people at the same time, or multiple people? I mean, numbers can go higher, but I just did with two. Can you love two people at the same time? And this is more general than it is personal. Mm. You can give your personal outlook as well, but this is more general perspective. Like, can a person love two people at the same time? Oh man, let's see what we got. Ritza, I'll start with you. What you think?
No,
what you think, man?
Oh my goodness, man. Listen, I'm going to be honest. Like as we begin to talk and you break down the definition that you're giving, because you keep things literal, it's going against what
nature.
it's not. Yes, there you go.
Going against nature.
You ask that, so when you ask that question, for me, it's because when you say like being in love, that's like the sexual, type of attachment, right? But when you talk about love, that's an emotion, right? So if you're speaking in that sense, could you be emotionally, drawn to two different people? Then yes, if that's how you're putting it, because but if I'm thinking about me, like how I would answer that question prior, before we started having this discussion, because now I got a different outlook, which is a good thing.
Yeah, good. Do you think?
Right. I would, for me, it would have been like, well, no, it has to be a stronger attachment to one person, right? But if we're talking about how you broke it down, literally, then I would have to say it's possible.
Izzy, what you think, Izzy? Can you love two same time? Can a woman love two men? Can a man love two women? What you think, Izzy? Talk to me.
See, Chris was literally just saying she literally just said what I was gonna say, honestly. By the definition that you gave originally, I guess. But I mean, like, for the definition that I gave you, there's definitely, there's someone that you have. There's no way you can love someone like equally based off the definition that I feel like love is. Truly, like, there's just no way. There has to be like some gives and takes, and honestly, like at that point, like, I feel like, if you were to love two people at the same time, I think one would be more of the definition that you gave. It would be like a sexual like attraction, and then like the other person would be like more the definition that I gave, which would be like love, like patience, unconditional, and things of that nature. So there's just like levels to it, truly. Simultaneously, equally, no, I feel like. But by the definition that you gave, yeah, of course, sure.
Okay.
People love using this unconditional word. That shit is crazy.
I was gonna bring up that challenge of unconditional, but I was gonna wait towards the end to do it, because I every time I hear people say that, I just think it's weird when people say unconditional. Like, that just sounds stupid to me. My love comes with conditions. This is crazy to me.
There's two versions of love, and I said true love is
conditional love.
True love is through children. True love is through children. That's what I had said originally.
Hey. But even with that, because I remember on the show before, I said that even with my children, my love comes with conditions. Like, unconditional means that we're gonna walk. Okay. Let me break it down. For those, I get what people are trying to say. So, say we use the children reference, right? It's not a situation of like, yes, Because I personally believe that if you actually ever really love somebody, you will always have that love for them. I don't believe that it ever really strays. This is me personally now. People can believe something different, but I personally do believe that it'll never really, really stray. So even when we speak on the realm, because I have kids, I have a few baby mothers. If I've ever loved, I still love as far as the extension of what that love is. Now, when we start getting into my ways of operation, I think there's a shift amongst what we're doing. So even when we talk about our children, I can still love my children, but it can become a distant love because I cannot be a part of the way that you choose to operate and the way you choose to maneuver through life. So I think we look at a lot of times when we challenge it as acceptance as well. And no, because love is the emotion. Yeah, I will always have that emotional love for you because you're mine. But that don't mean that I run the acceptance of it. I think when people talk about conditions, we speak more to acceptance. Because I can love you, but it's a lot of motherfucking shit I ain't going to accept. And that's with anybody. Because that's literally what unconditional means. We get into our acceptance of behaviors and attributes and all these other things. Because remember, everybody keeps saying that love is an action word. And the things that people are doing. So if we address it as what people are doing, then that means you can start doing some things that I will still have the emotional love for you, but I'm gonna have to wrench your ass up. Children, spouse, friends, etc.
So if they were to do something that you just deemed unacceptable, you wouldn't love them anymore.
No, you would still have the emotion of it, but the actions would shift. Is what I say. Yeah, because love is just an emotion. See, I understand how people take this. But people who believe love is just within the action, I get why it's confusing for people who think like that. Because you think that now you have to walk with the actual works of it. That's why I was like, no, I can still love you and you doing crazy stuff, but the operations would start to shift. That's why I said I think when people talk about unconditional, we start getting within the realms of acceptance. You get what I'm saying? Like,
no, I hear you.
I'm not about to accept a lot of shit just because I love you. Like, nah, I'm gonna cut my kids off to a certain extent too. You start getting crazy out here. Watch how quick I push your ass to the side. I got a team. I ain't about to be putting over no foolishness because there's a team here, and I walk with honor. And I believe once you start becoming dishonorable, because I believe we represent each other. See, I always say this, right? I believe we walk with this Hayward name. This is my last name, if y'all didn't know. This Hayward name. I believe we walk with this as a honor. See, and remember, I come from martial arts and traditional, so I walk with the mind of a lot of Buddhists too. So I walk with that honorable mentality that when you get in this realm and you start being dishonorable to the family, we hold no honor to those who choose to be dishonorable. So if you walk dishonorably, you get cut off because we still walk with a level of honor. So I will still love you, yes, but you getting cut off because we walk with honor. This is how I view it. So if you out here showing and getting all crazy and doing all whatever you into, and it does not represent us, I'm disclaiming you. They're gonna be like, okay, your son such and such, and now they're gonna be like, yo, now I know I got two sons, but they're gonna be talking. I'm gonna be like, yo, I only got one son. They're gonna be like, nah, but you got two. I only got one son. One honorable mention and one nigga, until he turn around, I don't know that nigga like that. But I still love him though. But I put the honor first. Now, some people might think that's a little too harsh, but I put that honor first. There is no honor for those who are dishonorable. That's like that situation that Will Smith had. You try to be honorable for a woman who's so dishonorable. How do you show honor for someone who's blatantly dishonored this family over and over and over again? Such disrespect. I would walk so respectful for one who has so much disrespect. Some people do it. I don't knock cats who do it. I'm just telling you the realm that I walk. That if you walk a dishonorable path, we will have to disown you. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, if you walk it, then you walk it. I'm just letting you know how I rock. But yes, I can still love you. The love doesn't go away. I love you. But take your ass across the street. Don't come back over here. Change your ways or you stay the fuck over there. Because I respect your operation, but I don't mean I have to accept you doing it over here. And that's usually where conditions, when people talk conditions, we start battling acceptance. So that's all that is, Miss Easy.
Thank you for explaining.
Did everybody answer this question? No, Matt, you ain't answered the question, right?
Yeah, I ain't answer. I'll let you do your thing.
Go ahead. So can you love two people at the same time?
Yeah, most definitely. You definitely can love two people at the same time. That's the easy one. You can love the same way you can love two family members. You can love two kids. You can love two people. You know, the difference is, I think when people hear love because they attach those actions to it, they think no. You know what I'm saying? But you can have, just because you love somebody else don't mean you're doing everything for that person that you're doing for your wife or your significant other. Now you can be, but I think people get confused because they tie all these things up together that's not dealing with love. You know. And that's why a lot of times too, when females get cheated on or something happens, they get confused. They tie all these other things into it and speculate with all these other things don't have nothing to even do with the action of cheating. But yeah, I think you definitely can love, because love is just the emotion. And I've actually heard a guy, seen situations where somebody was married and they was in love with another person and didn't even mess with the other person. Then maybe 15, 20 years down the line, they got a divorce, and then they end up going back and not messing with the other person. But people will automatically assume that they always was cheating, and that ain't necessarily the case. You could have always loved that person, but still have respect for your actual wife to not do anything, but that mutual platonic relationship was always there. And then when it don't work, you actually not get with that person, because it's not tied together. Now, some people do tie it together, but it's not tied together.
So yeah, so most definitely, I think that I always say when we talk about love is a filler word. So when I say filler word, that we always say love when we try to explain a whole bunch of different other stuff, but we just say love. Like people be talking about, people will be talking about loyalty, but then they'll keep saying love. People will speak on fidelity, but then they be talking about love. Like there's so many other things that people dive into when having conversations with people about love. They will fill that space with saying love, but they're literally talking about something separate. So I agree with what Matt was saying. I definitely believe you can love two people at the same time. And I always wonder, like, people keep saying equal. Why what does equal got to do with love itself? You can love woman A or man A for a totally different reason than what you love woman B or man B. What does equality have to do with love? You can love them both. It don't have to be the same. I don't understand why people make it seem like if I love you, I gotta love you exactly the same way like I love them. That's what the Greeks talk about when they speak about the 4 different types of love, and then you hear the Romans implemented it within the Bible, and they talk about those 4 implements of love, because I know where it comes from, when they talk about the types of love. You know what I'm saying? You can have these things, and they just be different types. Because we're just speaking of it in itself, the loving of it. Now people love to say you can love, but then you can't be in love. That's a lie. Because in love literally speaks to the romance and the sexual attraction. So you can even be in love with 2 people at the same time. And love, you can do that as well, because there are plenty of people who have taken care of this family and both families the exact same way. People do it. Be like, yo, that man got this family and got a whole other family 2 blocks away. And he take care of them to the same degree. There's a lot of people, and actually, when I was posing questions, I was talking to a lot of older people, and most people were chiming in that, yeah, you could do it. And it was funny because most of the people who were saying it, as they were saying it, they literally were saying, yeah, you could do it, and I've done it. And I thought that was funny. Because I was like, as everybody kept saying it to me, they was like, yeah, you can do it, and I've done this. So I'm like, yo, clearly it can be possible.
Yeah, but okay, so speaking to like what you just said about like, the loving of like, you don't understand how people like think like, love has to be equal to be in like love with both people. So, that rhymed. But so like, I just feel like, okay, so I think you're speaking on the man's perspective. Let's say, okay, so on the woman's perspective, a woman found out that you were in love with two people at the same time. Not talking about children or like parents or anything, because that's definitely possible. But I'm talking specifically about a relationship. If the woman that you were with found out that you were in love with someone else, even like on a different scale or like higher scale, like, you know, even if they were okay with it, eventually that would draw a wedge in the relationship on her behalf. Like, no one wants to know that they are like that's on the lesser scale of love, you know.
So I always say this, that when we're talking about being able to manage a situation, is not the same thing as we're talking about being in love in the situation. So, and this goes for both. It ain't really more so to men, it's for women as well. That you can still love both people. Now, will they agree to a situation of polygamy? No. But just because they disagree, don't take the thing away from that individual still loving them both, man or woman.
But let's say, like, you know, like they were in
polygamy, because we're talking about your emotions now for people.
Right. So let's say if, like, you know, they were in like the polygamous relationship, like if that was the case and like, you know, like, it was an agreement and like they're aware of each other, but it's known that, like, you know, one person is loved a little bit more than the other, you don't think that would cause like complications and cause especially the woman to fall out of love and fall into a different situation?
Yeah, but I'm not challenging the reception of love. I'm talking about the individual who is actually loving them both. I'm not talking about you loving them both and we're worrying about the reception of it though. I'm talking about the individual who is in love with both. Like, you can love two men, and of course them men might not agree, but them not agreeing doesn't take away or eliminate the fact that you still love two men. So that's why I'm saying, if we're talking about managing the situation, that would be very difficult because we move within this monogamy. So that would be very difficult, but that does not play to the actual act of you still loving them both. Is what I'm saying.
And you just got to the point I was gonna make as well too. I think when you speak of the viewers of it, Izzy, you're also speaking from a Western culture standpoint, because most of the people that's in a polygamous relationship that's from another country, they're not even in love with the emotion. They're in love to what the person can do. So it makes more sense for a person to have 2-3 wives because they're married. Their love is actually for the family legacy, you know, what you can do for us and how you build this family up and the responsibility. I think it would be hard the way you looking at it, because we actually go into relationships more off of an emotional standpoint of just feelings.
And that's why when we talk this idea of monogamy, that's why when you ask about people, most people feel triggered because we've been so brought up within the construction of this loving one person that we think that there's something odd to love more than one. But if you really want to deal with the honesty of it, I always say this. The same way you could love, like a person can love and get remarried more than one time, you can fall in love with more than one person. So the same way, because you can fall in love with more than one person, why is it strange to hear someone can do it at the same time? Mm-hmm. Unless you're telling me that if a person fell in love and they can only love that one person their entire life, then this would make sense to me. But it's not true. So if you can fall in love with more than one person, what is so hard about understanding they can do it at the same time? Because all you're talking about is falling in love. If you can do it one and then 2 years later with another person, why would it be hard to do it at the same time? It's crazy. Like, you literally can do it.
But on a side note, I've definitely heard stories about people that fell in love one time and was never ever able to get over that one person their whole entire life.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories of people who live within their remorse. Like, say that person may have passed, or they might have went through a hard breakup and they never got over it. Yeah. They never was able to catch. Yes, both sides
even
are
when
definitely
they got popular. Yeah, even some of them situations, they were able to get married again, and the new wife knew that she would never be loved the same way he loved that first person. Like, that was a known thing. And it was like, hey, we want to spend time together and create memories and have fun. But the guy let it be known, you know, I'm always ain't nobody gonna ever replace my Stacy.
Oh yeah, I've seen people do that too.